In mid-October 2024, whispers began to circulate within Western intelligence circles. The whispers hinted at a new and potentially game-changing development in the Ukraine conflict: the arrival of North Korean troops. These were not advisors or volunteers, but formed units of the Korean People's Army, dispatched to bolster Russian forces in their grueling fight. Their destination was Kursk Oblast, a region bordering Ukraine that had seen heavy fighting since the early days of the war. The exact number of troops committed remains a closely guarded secret, with estimates ranging from 11,000 to 12,000. Their deployment, cloaked in secrecy and obfuscation, marked a significant escalation of North Korea's involvement in the conflict. The Kremlin, grappling with manpower shortages and battlefield setbacks, likely saw the North Korean contingent as a valuable asset. These troops, hardened by years of training and indoctrination, were expected to provide much-needed reinforcements on a front that had become a byword for attrition. Furthermore, their presence served as a potent symbol of Russia's willingness to court support from even the most isolated corners of the international community. The arrival of Kim Jong-un's soldiers in the heart of the Ukrainian conflict sent shockwaves through Western capitals. It was a stark reminder of the global ramifications of the war and the unpredictable alliances it had forged. Analysts pored over intelligence reports, seeking to decipher the implications of this unexpected development. What impact would these troops have on the battlefield? What had Kim Jong-un been promised in return for their deployment? And what did this burgeoning partnership say about the future of the international order? The initial optimism surrounding the North Korean deployment soon gave way to a grim reality. The Korean People's Army, thrust into the cauldron of the Ukrainian battlefield, found itself ill-prepared for the ferocity of modern warfare. Reports began to surface of heavy casualties, painting a picture of a force outmatched and outgunned. Ukrainian officials, eager to highlight the plight of their adversaries, claimed that North Korean troops had suffered thousands of casualties. President Zelensky, in a late December 2024 address, put the figure at over 3,000. General Oleksandr Syrskyi, commander of Ukraine's ground forces, estimated that roughly half of the deployed troops had been killed or wounded. Western intelligence agencies, while more conservative in their assessments, also pointed to significant losses. South Korean intelligence, citing sources within the north, reported approximately 1,100 casualties by late December 2024. The White House, in a statement echoing these assessments, stated that more than 1,000 North Korean troops had been killed or wounded. These casualty figures, while difficult to verify independently, underscore the brutal toll exacted on the North Korean contingent. Reports from the front line suggest that their Soviet-era equipment and tactics proved woefully inadequate against Ukraine's modern, NATO-supplied arsenal. Their reliance on massed infantry formations, a hallmark of Cold War-era doctrine, made them easy targets for Ukrainian artillery and drone strikes. The mounting casualties, coupled with the secretive nature of the deployment, raised uncomfortable questions for both Pyongyang and Moscow. For Kim Jong-un, the losses represented a political gamble gone awry, potentially undermining his regime's carefully constructed image of military strength. For Putin, the heavy toll on North Korean troops served as a stark reminder of the costs of his Ukrainian adventure and the lengths to which he was willing to go to secure victory. By late January 2025, reports began to emerge suggesting that North Korean troops were withdrawing from the front lines in Kursk. Ukrainian military officials, citing a lack of contact with enemy units, claimed that the North Koreans had been absent from combat areas for several weeks. This retreat, if confirmed, marked a significant turning point in North Korea's involvement in the conflict. The reasons behind the withdrawal remain shrouded in uncertainty. Some analysts speculate that it was prompted by the heavy casualties sustained by the North Korean contingent. The losses, coupled with the demoralizing realization that they were ill-equipped for the realities of modern warfare, may have forced Pyongyang to rethink its commitment to the conflict. Others suggest that the retreat was part of a broader strategic reassessment by both Russia and North Korea. The Kremlin, facing mounting losses and international pressure, may have decided that the North Korean contribution was no longer worth the political and diplomatic costs. Pyongyang, in turn, may have calculated that its interests were better served by withdrawing its troops before they suffered further losses. Adding further intrigue to the situation was the lack of official acknowledgement from either Moscow or Pyongyang. Both governments, having maintained a strict veil of secrecy over the initial deployment, seemed content to allow speculation and rumor to swirl around the fate of the North Korean troops. This silence, while perhaps unsurprising given the opaque nature of both regimes, only fueled further speculation. Was the retreat a temporary measure with the North Koreans regrouping and retraining before returning to the front, or did it signal a more permanent disengagement from the conflict? The deployment and subsequent withdrawal of North Korean troops from Ukraine, shrouded in secrecy and denials, raises profound questions about the nature of modern warfare and the shifting alliances that underpin it. It highlights the willingness of authoritarian regimes to engage in covert military operations, often at the expense of their own citizens. The lack of transparency surrounding the North Korean involvement makes it difficult to assess the full extent of their losses or the impact they had on the battlefield. What is clear, however, is that their presence served as a potent propaganda tool for both Moscow and Kiev. For Russia, it demonstrated a willingness to court support from pariah states in defiance of international condemnation. For Ukraine, it provided a stark illustration of the threat posed by the Kremlin's imperial ambitions. The long-term implications of this episode for North Korea-Russia relations remain to be seen. The heavy casualties suffered by the North Korean contingent, coupled with the lack of any tangible gains on the battlefield, could strain ties between the two countries. Alternatively, the shared experience of fighting a common enemy could strengthen their bond, leading to closer military and economic cooperation in the future. Regardless of the outcome, the North Korean foray into Ukraine serves as a cautionary tale about the unpredictable nature of conflict in the 21st century. It underscores the need for vigilance in the face of authoritarian aggression and the importance of international cooperation in upholding a rules-based global order. The ghosts of Kursk, it seems, will continue to haunt the corridors of power for years to come.